Part 2 on how to maximize your Airbnb profits. That's the subject of this video. Welcome everyone, my name is Fernando David, and this is part 2 on how to maximize your profits on your Airbnb business. Today, we're going to go ahead and add on to what we discussed last time. But as a recap, let's just go over some of the stuff that we discussed during the last video. We discussed on how to set up your listing. We discussed the title, your photos, the property description, the space, guest access, guest interaction, other things to note, the neighborhood, and getting around. In this video, we're going to discuss how to expand on these topics and how to get momentum with Airbnb so that Airbnb, from their platform, they push your Airbnb listing so it's visible on the first or second page when someone does a search. All right, the first thing we're going to discuss are reviews. I've said this multiple times in other videos. Airbnb, the business of Airbnb is review driven, right? So Airbnb, the more reviews you have on your listing, the better. And the more 5-star reviews you have, it's even better, right? But I'm going to give you an example on how this works. Let's say you have 2 identical listings. If it's when you get a brand new listing, Airbnb automatically boosts that listing so that you can get your first 5 reviews. But once you pass those 5 reviews, depending on whether or not those 5 reviews are 5-star, will depend on how far or how much help Airbnb is going to give that listing. So let's just assume you got 5 reviews, all 5 are 5 stars. So now it's going to boost that property. But let's say you have an identical property, and that property has been on the market for a long time, and that property's overall rating, let's say it's a 4.7, but it has 142 reviews, right? Because this one's been on the market longer and has been proven itself to be or on Airbnb's eyes, because of the reviews, and it's a 4.7, it's proven itself to be reliable. Airbnb is going to push this one above this one, right? So time on the market matters. So the more reviews you have, the more boost or the more help you're going to get from Airbnb. Hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, do me a favor, just comment below and I'll try to clarify that. All right, next thing we're going to talk about is momentum. Here's what I mean by momentum. There's what Airbnb does to help you boost your listing and your views and all that good stuff. And there's what you can do externally to give yourself a boost. And in momentum, you have views, share, like, and wish list, right? Wish list, it depends on who you talk to today. This used to be extremely popular and something that Airbnb really looked at, and I'm going to touch on it in a second. Today, I don't know if it's as popular as it was before, but we're going to discuss it anyways. So let's begin with views. First thing that's important, if you haven't done this, make sure your Airbnb account is connected to your social media. Have it connected to your Twitter, Facebook, and your Instagram. And I can touch on that later on. If you have any questions on how to connect it, just ask the question in below, and we'll discuss on how to get that connected to your social media, but just make sure it's connected. So here's what you should do. On a regular basis, you should be sharing your listing on your social media platforms. Every time somebody looks at that social media, it gives you a boost, right? In addition to that, every time somebody shares it, it gives you a boost. Every time somebody likes it, it gives you a boost. Now here's the wish list. When you go on the Airbnb platform, and you see a property, you're going to see a little heart, and you can click on it to make it a space to say that you like it and to add it to your wish list, right? And on the Airbnb platform, you're allowed to create your favorite listings and create what's called a wish list. The more people you get to do that, the better. So my suggestion, if you're a brand new listing, or even if you haven't done this before and you've been around for a while, share it with your friends, families, everyone in your social media, and ask them to go ahead and like the actual listing and add it to their wish list. The third thing we're going to talk about is how to increase your views through Airbnb, meaning Airbnb pushing your views. And this is one of the most important parts that a lot of people miss, is adding or checking off all the safety features. Airbnb, just like any other business, they want to mitigate liability. So they give you the option of safety features. And you should want to do this as well, but you should have fire detector checked off, the carbon monoxide detector checked off. You should have a fire extinguisher in your properties checked off. You should have a first aid kit in your property checked off. Those added features will tell Airbnb that your property is safe, and they're more likely to promote your property versus someone that doesn't have these features. All right, the next things along the lines of adding these features is make sure that your home qualifies for family friendly. And how do you qualify for that? You simply have these following items, right? A crib, a high chair, toys, stuff that are provided for children, right? And I'm going to touch on that in the next video on how to monetize that, but make sure you have that because that's going to give you an added boost, family friendly. The other one is a little bit more controversial because you need to change your policy or your cancellation policy, but that is having a work-friendly property, right? Meaning high-speed Wi-Fi. Your cancellation policy has to be relaxed. And that's the controversial part of it. A lot of so-called experts will tell you, no, have a strict policy. I don't do that, and I found that when I did, I had less occupancy rate, meaning I had less money coming in. So make sure it's relaxed, especially if you are in a high demand area. If somebody cancels on you, you're going to get rebooked. So make sure your cancellation policy is relaxed. In here, you can add a flexible cancellation policy with a 10% discount if they choose the non-flexible policy. So that's an added bonus to you, meaning if they book it, right, you're going to get the boost. But if they choose to get a 10% discount on your property, they have to get the non-refundable cancellation policy, right? So that, for me, that's a win-win, but that's just my personal opinion. And based on my experience, this one helps out a lot in terms of your rankings. Other things to add will be self-check-in options. If you are still meeting guests or dealing with keys, get out of the Stone Ages, people. You got to have some kind of smart lock and a self-check-in option. Check out my other videos where I discuss this part here if you want more information. Next one, another one is very controversial, is allowing pets. Trust me when I tell you, when you allow pets, there's going to be at a minimum, depending on your area, between a 40 to a 50% increase in occupancy. Now, if you already have 90% occupancy or above without allowing them and don't want to allow pets, then go right ahead. But here's what's important. For me, I find that your occupancy rate is going to be higher if you allow pets, and you can monetize that, right? We charge $50 per pet. That's an extra $50. And again, I'm going to discuss how to monetize these options on my next video, but this is why this one is important. The other one is longer stays. Since the pandemic, right, people are not coming down here for 2 or 3 days anymore. They're looking for longer stays, as well as people that work remote, they want longer stays. So add the ability to host longer stays is not only going to help you in your ranking, because now Airbnb is aggressively pushing this, but it's going to increase your occupancy rates much more, and you can charge more for the shorter stays. I'll explain that strategy in my next video, but you want to do that. The next thing you want to do is add the discounts, right? Now Airbnb has an option where you can customize discounts. When you do that, Airbnb automatically pushes your listings to the front of the page. So you want to add these discounts in there. It's called custom discounts. You want to add that in there. The next couple are directly related to you as a host, right? You want your response time. When you get an inquiry, you get graded based on your response time. Make sure that your systems are in place, and I highly recommend you automate this if you have a lot of properties, or hire somebody to do this. But when an inquiry comes in, make sure you respond as quickly as you can. Airbnb sees this, again, like I mentioned before, that you are not only professional, but that you are reliable. And they're going to push your listings to the front of the page. Extremely important is response time. The next thing that a lot of people don't do, and I don't understand why, is reviewing your guests and responding to your guest reviews, right? When you review your guests, it not only helps you in your ranking, but it helps us as hosts to see what type of guest this person is. So please review them. In addition to that, when they respond to your review, respond back, but not in an argumentative way. If you get a negative review, write something to the effect of, sorry you feel that way. We have addressed those issues if there were issues that needed to be addressed, or just simply say, thank you for staying with us. We're sorry you feel that way. We hope that the next time you come, we fulfill your expectations, right? Something to that effect. Never, never, never be argumentative with the guest. The last thing is adding languages. I'm fortunate that in my team, we speak English, Spanish, and Portuguese. So that's listed in our property's description. By adding languages, it opens up the opportunity to get people to speak to you in their specific language. And even if you don't know, for example, if somebody sends you a message in another language you don't understand, there's a translation button on there. And if you can also use Google Translate, but add language to that because it will help you. If you have any questions on anything that I went over, and I know I went kind of fast, do me a favor and add the questions in the comments below. And as always, please subscribe, share, like, and follow.